Revisiting the Kekulé Problem. Vittorio Ferretti paper downloaded to Academia Education on March 6, 2024, Introduction. 7 years ago, Cormac McCarthy published in the science magazine Nautilus, March-April 2011, an essay about the Kekulé problem, inquiring into the nature of the unconscious mind, the nature of the conscious language, and the question about the relation between both as well. 1. In his foreword, the eminent biologist and president of the Santa Fe Institute, David Krakauer, looked back to 2 decades of intensive discussions with Cormac McCarthy within the research community of the Institute about the mentioned topics. A specific Wikipedia entry summarizes content and reception of the essay. Recent scientific discoveries question the relevance of the unconscious for scientific discoveries, and specifically for that of Kekulé. Others confirm, however, an intuition of Cormac McCarthy about the nature of human language. This justifies a review of the essay. The unconscious Cormac McCarthy was giving credit to the assertion made by the German co-founder of organic chemistry, Friedrich August Kekulé, II, that he had discovered in 1861 the ring structure of benzene during a sleep. Therefore, Cormac McCarthy had been thinking about the Kekulé problem off and on for a couple of years, without making much progress. In his essay, Cormac McCarthy considered the unconscious a biological capability common to all animals, and therefore a totally evolutionary process. He mentioned several characteristics of the unconscious. The unconscious is a biological operative, and language is not. Persistence. An enormous log of knowledge or information. It is laboring under a moral compulsion to educate us. It wants to give guidance to your life, in general, but does not care what toothpaste you use. It is a machine for operating an animal. It does not give verbal instructions. It does solve problems in mathematics. Investigations made in 1984 by John Wotis, University of Illinois, and Susanna Rudofsky, University of Chicago, in the Kekule Archiv der Universität Darmstadt, have revealed, however, that Kekulé already knew in 1854 the book of Auguste Laurent 5, where the French chemist postulated an hexagonal ring structure for the benzoyl chloride molecule, and in a document of 1858, Kekulé made specific reference to page 408 of that book, where the hexagonal shape of that molecule is depicted. This gives room to the suspicion that Kekulé's dream of 1861 had been nothing more than a remembering of the discovery of Auguste Laurent. This detail is only mentioned in the Italian Wikipedia entry about Kekule. 2. It has not been mentioned by Cormac McCarthy in his paper, nor in the English Wikipedia entry about the Kekulé problem. 4. This does not prove that Kekulé has consciously made a plagiarisms. His unconscious can have erased that details from his memory. His moral integrity and scientific merits for the development of organic chemistry are not in question. Auguste Laurent has been downgraded in the collective memory also because his French colleagues mobbed him for having adhered to Avogadro's molecular theory, equal numbers of molecules in equal volumes of gases at the same temperature and pressure. In contrast, Kekulé received public support to equip the best chemical lab of his time, and his many pupils poured out to build up a long-time leading chemical industry. Cormac McCarthy has undervalued the not biological component memory of the unconscious. The language. Even being one of the most successful U.S. American writers since the second half of the past century, Cormac McCarthy did de facto disregard the power of human speech. He considered it an upstart and ancillary tool, only apt to protocol the state of knowledge achieved by other human capabilities, but unsuitable to solve problems or to make new discoveries. For him, literature had only one entitlement and competence, to relate about life and death. It might be not a fortuity that Cormac McCarthy had little communication with other writers, and that almost all his friends were scientists, among them Murray Gell-Mann, the Nobel Prize laureate for physics, 1969. Several misjudgments of Cormac McCarthy have contributed to this self-imposed mental constriction about the nature and power of language. He perceived that some animals had developed a sort of proto-language, but negated that any animal had developed a language, because all other animals beside humans have missed the central idea of language, that one thing can be another thing. Therefore, he postulated that only humans have a language, and that this was a proof that language was not a biological system. Language appeared only once and in one species only. Oh, in his opinion, language has not been evolved, with no Darwinian selection at work. The human brain was not in any way structured for the reception of language, and the articulatory organs just as little. Language did not meet some need, as the over 5,000 plus mammals among us do fine without. It has been a parasitic invasion of the human body. His error was not of thought to the end his own observation, one thing can be another thing. He did not understand that humans use as one thing's articulated sounds, but that also the modulated sounds or corporeal movements, used by animals to express another thing, must be considered as language, because also they are metaphors. Oh, he also ignored the natural mechanism of emergence, that from the interaction of many things new features can pop up, which are not attributable to any single thing and are more than the vector sum of their individual features. Oh, he did not consider that after the development of the oral language, there has been the development of the written language, which has created meta-metaphors. In his words, this made it possible that one thing can be another thing of another thing. Oh, the development of IT has made possible to store, process, and transmit language with electromagnetic means, which has created meta-meta-metaphors. In his words, one thing can be another thing of another thing of another thing. Recent achievements with artificial intelligence make it hard to sustain. That language is void of any creativity. The author of this paper has gathered during a decade a dictionary of pre- and proto-historic word roots of all epochs and continents, published by Amazon/Kindle and Academia.edu. Ferretti, 2023a. He concluded from the analysis of the collected terminology in an essay published on March 5, 2013, by Academia.ed, Ferretti 2023b, as follows. The Lexical Information Abstract. Speech is an articulatory gesture performing a transposition from the mental to the physical domain. With respect to the distinctive features coding the lexical information, the two Germanic sound shift laws have already shown the way. Their core statement is that the lexical content of any consonant is invariant against changes of its phonation, different throttling of the airflow, and or different admixture of vocal cord sounds, resulting in the lexical equivalence of e.g. t, d, t-eighth. The thesis of this paper is not only that this holds true for all languages, but also for shifts to other articulation sites of the same articulation region, the region of the lips, of the tongue tip, of the tongue back, or of the pharynx. This expands, for instance, the lexical equivalence to all tongue tip consonants, T, D, th, S, L, N, apical R. The pioneers of speech have coded the about 200 semantic fields of their mental lexicon by aleatory assignations with sequences of 3 sounds, word roots, in the manner of dance steps. This reduced further the availability to only about 16 formats, which they had to reuse about a dozen of times, disentangling then the multiple uses by the context. Different languages have adopted different formats for a given semantic field, but not systematically for all fields. The much debated divergences, centum versus satem, hepta versus septem, hals versus salis, p-celts versus q-celts, and pater versus paker, are simply due to different, casual, and not systematic format choices, but not to sound shifts. This shows that Cormac McCarthy has anticipated with his sentence, "One thing can be another thing," the purely metaphoric nature of spoken language, leaping far beyond the mainstream theory of his time.